You're standing on Madison Avenue, right in front of a heavy glass door. It's locked. You check the hours, they're definitely open, but nobody moves. Inside, a security guard in a black suit just stares you down for a few long seconds, before he finally decides to turn the key. You haven't even stepped inside yet, but the power dynamic has already shifted. You're already being judged. When the door finally opens, the noise of the city just vanishes. It's replaced by a heavy, expensive silence and the scent of aged leather and sandalwood. You start looking around, but then you notice something really weird. There are no price tags. There aren't even names on the items. It's just objects sitting on marble pedestals like they're in a museum. You're standing there in that silence, feeling a creeping sense of inadequacy. You want to ask how much a bag costs, but you're paralyzed. You're afraid that if you ask, the clerk will realize you don't belong there, that you're poor. That feeling, that knot in your stomach, it's not an accident. It's a deliberate psychological trick called perception hacking. And Hermès, the world's most desirable luxury brand, is the master of dark sales psychology. Their sales prove it. In 2025, Hermès continued to triumph over its rivals, outperforming them in revenue growth, profitability, and financial stability despite economic uncertainty. But they didn't make it into the top just by selling nice bags or well-made shoes. They made it there by making you feel small. They don't want a simple transaction. They want you to beg for the privilege of buying. Hermès has turned the act of shopping into a psychological gauntlet. To see how they pull it off, we have to look at what happens the moment that door clicks shut behind you, and the very first trap they set to strip away your power.
Singaporean socialite and entrepreneur Jamie Chua is considered to have the world's largest Birkin collection, with over 200 bags. A 2017 study revealed that the value of Hermès Birkin bags has increased 500% in the last 35 years, an increase of 14% per year.
Retail value and resale value is because these are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags. And they may even train 10 years before even they're allowed to make a Birkin.
If you walk into a Hermès boutique today and ask for a Birkin, the sales clerk will likely give you a look that's half pity, half rehearsed. They'll tell you they're completely out of stock. They'll tell you that the demand is simply too high, and then they'll drop the bomb. If you want a bag, you have to put your name on a wait list. The clerk will look you in the eye and tell you that the wait is 3 to 5 years. It is a total lie. A quick look at the company's own data and production reports reveals a very different story. Hermès actually produces around 70,000 Birkin bags every single year. While the clerk is telling you that you'll have to wait until nearly 2030 to own one, there are likely dozens, if not hundreds, of these bags sitting in the stockroom right behind them. They aren't out of stock, they're just out of your reach. The scarcity is an illusion, but the profit it generates is very real. By gatekeeping their inventory, they ensure that the Birkin remains the most talked about item in the world. Not because it's the best made, but because they've convinced everyone it's the hardest to find. While other luxury giants are opening massive flagship stores in every major city and flooding the internet with targeted ads, Hermès is playing a much quieter, smarter game. They purposely keep their footprint small. There are fewer stores, fewer handbags, and almost zero waste to buy their most iconic items online. By keeping the supply of their items far below the actual demand, they create a permanent state of hunger in the market. It adds a massive layer of mystery to the brand. When something is hard to find, we instinctively believe it's more valuable. If you see a brand everywhere, it becomes common. But if you only see it once in a while on a specific type of person, in a specific type of neighborhood, it becomes legendary. Even though Hermès has significantly fewer stores than its biggest rivals, their revenue is substantially higher per location. They aren't interested in selling to everyone. They are interested in making everyone wish they could buy. This isn't because they can't afford to expand, it's because they've mastered the art of artificial scarcity. By keeping the supply low and the store count small, they ensure that the hunt for the product is just as intense as the desire to own it. When it comes to psychological games, Hermès sits in a league of its own. They will take their most exclusive Birkin designs, bags made from rare crocodile skin and encrusted with precious stones, and price them at $100,000, $200,000, or even $500,000. They know perfectly well that these prices will put off 99% of the population, but they aren't actually trying to sell those bags to everyone. They are using them as anchors. Because once you've seen a bag that costs $500,000, the standard $20,000 bag suddenly feels affordable. Your brain does a quick comparison and tells you that the $20,000 version is a bargain. This psychological trick is called price tiering. In any other world, spending the price of a mid-sized car on a handbag is insane. But in the Hermès showroom, price tiering makes you talk yourself into the purchase. It's an incredibly powerful way to move mid-tier products by using high-tier prices to reset your reality. But even if you have the $20,000 ready to go, Hermès has another hoop for you to jump through. They've created something called the Hermès family. This is an unofficial club you have to join before you're even allowed to look at a Birkin. To get on the inside, you're often expected to spend years buying off-the-shelf products first. We're talking about $1,000 belts, $5,000 blankets, and expensive silk scarves. You have to prove your loyalty to the brand by spending tens of thousands of dollars on accessories just to earn the right to buy the item you actually wanted in the first place. It's a slow burn strategy designed to drive up intrigue and obsession. By the time you finally qualify for that top-tier bag, you've spent so much time and money working up to it that the purchase feels like a massive life achievement. You aren't just a customer anymore, you're a member of the inner circle. And once you're in, the brand makes sure you never want to leave. They do this by turning you into a collector. Hermès operates differently from its rivals, viewing its brand as too exclusive for standard industry tactics. It avoids celebrity ambassadors and traditional advertising entirely. So how does the brand market itself? Hermès are the masters when it comes to psychology, and they know that at our core, humans are pack animals. We have a biological drive to belong to the top of the tribe. To exploit this, Hermès don't just run traditional ads. They weave their products into the lives of the people we look up to and respect. When you see a world-famous athlete stepping off a private jet or a Hollywood star walking through an airport carrying a Birkin bag that you've been told is impossible to get, it does something to your brain. It's the ultimate form of social proof. It enhances the status of the item beyond just being a product. It becomes a badge of membership to an elite crowd. Hermès knows that if the public associates their name with fame and power, the association alone will sell the product. This is why you'll see certain celebrities spontaneously photographed with the rarest items. It creates a bridge between the unreachable brand and the consumer's desire to belong. Everything about the Hermès approach is carefully thought through. They don't just sell you a product, they manipulate your environment so you lose your sense of objective value. It starts with the store's scent, carefully engineered fragrances of sandalwood and expensive hide that trigger a wealth response in your brain. It continues with the lighting and acoustics, designed to make the boutique feel more like a cathedral than a shop. When you're surrounded by marble, silence, and guards, your brain stops comparing a bag to a month's rent. Instead, it starts comparing the bag to the prestige of the room you're standing in. This is the ultimate secret. Hermès aren't in the business of manufacturing goods. They're in the business of hacking your perception of reality. They've realized that if they can control how you feel, they can control what you're willing to pay. In a normal store, you're in charge. You find the item, check the price, and pay. But at Hermès, that's gone. You're standing in a room full of expensive objects with no names and no price tags. By stripping away the facts, they strip away your power. You can't just shop. You're forced to approach a clerk and ask for help. The second you do, the dynamic shifts. You're now the one asking for permission, and they are the gatekeeper. They'll give you vague answers about exclusivity to make you feel like an outsider. It's a trick to make you feel slightly stupid, which triggers a desperate urge to belong to the club. The clerk isn't there to help you. They're there to decide if you're qualified to buy. They turn a simple transaction into a test of your social standing. This is known as information asymmetry. At this point, you might be asking yourself, why? Why would anyone put up with the locked doors, the fake wait lists, and the rude service just to spend more money than a house cost on a piece of leather? The answer lies in a strange economic phenomenon called Veblen goods. In a normal world, when the price of something goes up, demand goes down. It's basic economics. But in the world of the ultra-luxury, the rules are flipped. A Veblen good is an item that actually becomes more desirable as the price increases. To the luxury buyer, a high price tag isn't a deterrent. It's the entire point. The cost itself is the feature. It's a signal to the rest of the world that you have achieved a certain level of wealth and social standing. So why do we play the game? Why do we stay on the wait list for a bag that isn't actually scarce, or beg for the attention of a clerk who is paid to ignore us? Because these brands aren't selling leather and silk. They're selling the cure for the insecurity they created the moment you walked in. In 2025, the luxury market will hit $471 billion, not because the products are perfect, but because the dark psychology is. The next time you're standing outside a locked luxury boutique, ask yourself, are you buying a product, or are you just paying a $500 billion industry to tell you that you're finally good enough? If you found this breakdown of luxury psychology interesting, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, CEO Philosophy, where we cover interesting topics like this from the world of business. We'll see you in the next video.